It's Thursday, the 1st of February 2024, aka Transfer Deadline Day, and Mansfield Town are still the only side in League Two as it stands at 20 minutes to 5 to not make a signing yet. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. We're not live this evening due to commitments later tonight, namely Mansfield 103.2's birthday party, and us staying up and constantly refreshing things like Twitter, aka X, Facebook, the MansfieldTown.net website, to see if we will sign a striker, or come the close of the transfer window, will we be counting our losses just like we were on Saturday when the Stags were beaten. As always, we want you to have your say on your team. This is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. And whilst we might not be live this evening, you, as always, can have your say on your team. Have a chat with each other. Talk amongst yourselves as we recap another busy week for the Stags and talk about a little bit of hope that the Stags may do some business before the window is out. Hello and welcome to the Mansfield Matters Podcast, the show for the fans, by the fans. Why? Because Mansfield always matters. The time is 4:43 p.m. on Thursday, the 1st of February, and the Stags still haven't made a signing in the January transfer window. But Mansfield Matters Podcast have made a signing. It's exclusive. It's breaking news. We've made a signing. We've brought him home. Let's say hello and good afternoon to Mr. Nathan Edge.
Good afternoon, good evening. Yes, I'm back, but obviously I favour medical. I'm only on the phone.
Yes, you are only on the phone, but it is good to see you all the same. We did briefly see you before we pressed the record button on screen, but we had no audio whatsoever. So we decided to get you on the phone just so we could include you in the podcast, because it has been about 4,000 years. How does it feel to be back? How are you? And how frustrated are you that Nigel Clough hasn't found his pen?
Well, first of all, I'm good. I'm tired. 2 kids, so there's the reason why I haven't been here for a long time. That tied in with terrible internet service over here. So, that side. I've still been following the Stags, obviously. I mean, transfer windows doesn't surprise me, to be fair. I know, was it a couple of years ago we made about 5 or 6 in one day? So there's still time. Anything can happen, but I just feel we seem to be the club that gets pushed around a little bit, in the sense that, goalposts keep getting moved. We saw it with Tom Naylor twice, mainly down to his agent, that shall not be named. But, we feel, we don't know for sure, but obviously it's likely that it's happened with Lee Gregory. But I think it's a mixture of, we're not going to be taken for mugs as well by end up going on a bidding war of paying more than what we need. So we need to get somebody in, of course, but we also need to not be taken for mugs. So it's a balancing act, and I can see why it's going to the wire.
They're the wisest words that I've heard on this podcast for a long time. It's funny what happens when you get somebody that knows what they're talking about it on, rather than Cam, who incidentally isn't here, but 2 people that are here and can say hello to you virtually. Let's first say hello and good afternoon, or is it good evening? Who knows? To Clive Parkin. Good afternoon / good evening / good morning.
Yeah, / well done. And nice to hear Nathan, but I can't be doing with this common sense.
Absolutely. Well, one man who will bring common sense to it, albeit positivity, is Mr. Alan Wilson. Good afternoon, Al.
Good evening, Craig. Good evening, Clive. Good evening, Nathan. Good evening, everybody.
Now, Al, Nathan, no one will care about this whatsoever, but I've got to ask, have you moved house? Are you sat?
No, I've just moved place.
Never did.
Because we're trying to keep the dog quiet while Jeanette's doing the tea. So I've had to move place to try and keep the dog quiet. Well, we'll see how it goes.
I can't keep my dog quiet, and Harry's not bad either. Nathan, pipe down. Joking. Alan, let's go straight to you. Obviously, you are Mr. Positivity, but even you must be frustrated by the lack of transfer activity coming out of One Call Stadium over the last 31 days.
Not particularly, no, because I just think you see all these rumours, and we're going to have this chap, we're going to have that chap, we're going to have somebody else. George Latchley's coming back on loan. We'll just see what happens before 11 o'clock. Something will happen, I'm sure. Whether it's Tom Nichols, whether it's George Lapsley, whether it's somebody else, something will happen before, coming up to 11 o'clock, and then we'll all be happy.
Alan Wilson-Clive is saying something will happen. Is it a case, though, of something has to happen?
I don't think it has to happen, but I think common sense, if I'm going to have to use common sense, says we need another player or two, because we're in a position where we're a little bit short now because of circumstance. But, we said earlier this season that we were very comfortable with the quality and the depth of our squad and the fact that we had players to cover players in a way that in previous seasons we hadn't. And now all of a sudden that's under a real test because of injury to Flint and a couple of suspensions. But ultimately, I'm hoping they're fairly short-term phenomena, and therefore we shouldn't necessarily panic. But the old plaint of we haven't got a goal scorer hasn't changed. It's still the case. And if there's a really good goal scorer out there, why would anybody let him go? January is an awful time to acquire players anyway. And if we do panic, we'll end up with 4 or 5 naughties.
Nathan, you were saying earlier about that Mansfield sometimes you feel get pushed about a little bit in the January transfer window. We're on deadline day now. Nigel Clough has used in press the word desperate for a striker, or desperately trying to bring in a striker. Has he played into other clubs' hands a little with that?
Other clubs aren't daft. They know that research is out for a long period of time. They know that the other players we've got, Aikens is not an out-and-out goal scorer. Races all the other work does, but he's not one of those players that are going to put the ball in the back of the net. Obviously, we've got David Keeler-Dunn, who is doing that side of the business, being our top goal scorer, but it's quite obvious. With Swan also hopefully going to get back into form, but we've been saying that a few times. So I think it's obvious that we do need somebody in that department. So, and I think if as fans, we're aware of the likelihood of the Lee Gregory rumour. Other clubs are more in the know than what we are. So, they're aware of our situation. So in some ways, just leaving it for last minute doesn't help us, but sometimes you can't avoid it. So it's up to us now to maybe roll the dice a little bit, and if we have to spend a bit more, I think we have to do it at least for one player, one forward attacking player.
I think, if anything, Alan, it's all about. I know we've sort of said a little bit on this podcast throughout this month that we don't want to be that side that is just keeping up with the Joneses, so to speak, and signing players for the sake of signing players. But at this stage, I do sort of feel like I've gone the other way a little bit. We know the prognosis now on Resoats. We've lost 3 players in one game due to various things. We are a little bit thin on the ground when it comes to forward players. And I just think that one player, regardless of position, because we can move around so freely as Nigel Clough does, I just feel that it will just lift a little bit of pressure. There'll be a little bit more calmness from the fans, especially going into the back end of the season, where the only other transfer targets that are available are going to be free agents who will have now been without a club for the best part of 6-7 months.
Yeah, I would agree to a certain extent, but I just think, to Nigel in his interview, and he said virtually straight away that the chairman has okayed everything, to go out and do your dealings, whatever they may be. I just think he'll have irons in the fire. If he didn't get his number 1 target, he'll go down to his number 2 and so on. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if a couple come in.
It does feel, though, Clive, that we are down that list now. I feel like we're probably on target number 5.
Yeah, I think that probably was always going to be the case. Anybody who puts all their irons in one fire is asking for trouble. And I think Nathan's picked up on something as well. I do think there is antipathy towards our club from certain other clubs in the league, whether it's because we're seen as having more money than we should have, or whether it's because we've got a prominent manager by reputation. I don't know. Doesn't seem to stop Wrexham. But there again, I think there's a completely different scale in use here. But I am slightly frustrated because every other club in League Two is doing business at the moment, and we're conspicuously the one that hasn't so far. But I think Alan's right. There was something will fall in before we all go to bed.
Well, as we say, it is as go on, Nath. Go on.
I was going to say, well, I think one thing to probably bear in mind is I think what happened at Wimbledon has changed things a lot, and actually that wasn't that long ago. And I think you've got to consider you're opening up maybe fresh talks with people, then you've got to actually get them across for a medical. So these things do take time. So although it's frustrating from our point of view, we hope obviously you hope you've got one early in the window anyway, but regardless of whether we did, I think with what happened on Saturday, we needed another one. We need somebody else in anyway. So that was always going to take time from that point to now, really.
I think you're right in what you say, mate, to be fair, because we did need somebody anyway. We would have been targeting anyway. We were targeting anyway. Saturday, all that's done, Clive, is just sort of made people panic a little bit, because all of a sudden you're without Jordan Bowery, who's an option up there. You're without Stephen Quinn, who's creative on the left-hand side. You're potentially without your captain, Aidan Flint, who's been an absolute rock at the back. Losing those three players also means that you're potentially taking other players away from that forward area, such as Lucas Akins, who's the natural choice with Callum Johnson injured to slot in at right back for 3 games whilst Bowery sits on the bench and does his fines and what have you. I think there's probably a panic because of Saturday and the other thing of seeing other people do business. It's like always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
I think it's only the fans that are panicking. I think the management at the club, and let's remember we have a dedicated recruitment specialist on our management team. I'm pretty sure they have done what they feel is necessary to satisfy the need. It's going to, if it doesn't happen, then it doesn't happen. But everybody's in agreement. We could do with a couple of extra pairs of legs. But in a month's time, it may all look a lot different again. But it is a very critical time in the season, I think. And I think emotionally, we don't really want to be losing to Notts County on Saturday. But I suspect it might be one of the biggest challenges we've had so far.
Well, as we say, we aren't live this evening. This was recorded. Current time is 4:54. We have been linked, Nathan, with a number of players. The two main ones that are the main sort of targets at the moment are those of George Lapsley, of course, a former Stags player who we sold to Gillingham this time last year. Potential return on loan until the end of the season. And another reliable source is also saying that it's a done deal for Tom Nichols, of course, formerly of Crawley Town, 23 goals in 101 games for them. Signed for Gillingham in 2023, 7 goals in 40 appearances for them as well. Also, Exeter City at the start of his career, 30-year-old front man. That would be a good acquisition if we could get Nichols across the line. Of course, we have been rumoured with him before too. Yeah,
I'd be if that does happen. I mean, who knows? As we're saying it now, it probably has happened. Who knows? Because with the time difference of recording. But if that is the case, then I'd be pretty happy with that, because especially with George Lapsley as well. I know a lot of people out there were saying we don't need another midfielder. Well, I've got suspicions that Boateng is on his way to Swindon. Obviously, that's another rumour. But I think even if Boateng isn't going, he's not pulling up any trees. So I think Lapsley would be a great place. We know he can score, and it also opens up David Keeler-Dunn to go up top as well. So he could have a potential of attacking options of Lapsley, Keeler-Dunn, Swan.
I need to cut you off for a sec. I need to cut you off for a second. In 4 minutes' time, Mansfield Town will be unveiling a new signing. They tweeted 33 seconds ago. Someone asked, please say there's a 5 p.m. announcement. They responded with a GIF which says, it's true. Positive news, Alan Wilson.
Yeah, it'd be interesting who it is. But, just to hark back on the fans getting frustrated, do you think also Nigel's got, how shall I put it, he's got to be careful, because look, like Nathan said earlier on with the Tom Naylor business, You know, it was virtually done and dusted. He was coming to Mansfield, and then all of a sudden, it's off. So he probably doesn't want to go down that route again, you know, either, you know, to say, oh, we've got Tom Nichols or X, Y, and Z, and then they don't come, or it doesn't happen. And it makes the fans even more frustrated. Probably a bit of 50-50 on that side, but let's see who it is, and let's hope it's a good one.
It's going to be the one we all know, isn't it? Tom Nichols.
I mean, imagine now if it says in 3 minutes' time, Stags re-sign Amari Sterling James.
Oh, come on. 6 minutes, Amari.
Oh, it would be absolutely classic. Well, we could stay on the topic.
I'm probably the only guy that actually likes it.
No, I think that you were right. It was very, very underused, which just shows the last time you were on the podcast, because we're talking about a player who was playing for us the last time you were on the podcast. We'll stay on the subject of transfers. We will keep refreshing Twitter, knowing our luck. They will drag it out, and I will have to go because I need to take Kieran Boateng to Swindon. I'm his taxi. I'll have to go, and as soon as I press end recording, and we will then get the signing announcement. But Clive, I think we can probably safely presume, with 3 minutes to go before 5 o'clock, that it will possibly be Tom Nichols, and he is exactly the type of player which Mansfield want. He's got goals in him. He always seems to play quite regularly when he does. I'm just looking through his stats now. He plays quite regularly. He's had a couple of loan spells. Wherever he's been, he's played, he's scored goals. And I think he'll complement our front line well, presuming it is him. 2 minutes to go.
Somebody's just posted on Facebook that we've agreed a deal with Gillingham for Tom Nichols, but I'm guessing the person that's posted that is no wiser than we are, and we're all guessing. Tom Nichols is a workaday striker, and we haven't got a striker per se, other than Swan, who isn't yet found in the form that we made that encouraged us to sign him on a permanent contract. So we are, if it was successful and we did get him, I'd have no problem with that at all. I think he would be expected to make a very quick contribution as well. Whether he played on Saturday, if he signed today, I doubt very much. But we shall see in a couple of minutes. Indeed. Can I just change the subject very quickly, very slightly? I said to one of my colleagues, friends, fellow supporters in the Ian Greaves Lower a few weeks ago, when we were talking about the quality of referees. And I said, and these are the words I'm being hung by now, I said, I cannot believe there's another referee anywhere out there that is worse than Darren Drysdale or Trevor Kettle. And those words have come back to haunt me.
Have they?
I have some friends who are Wimbledon supporters, funnily enough, and we exchanged opinions about, because I didn't go to the game, we exchanged opinions after the game, and they were quick to say the referee was a complete prat and he was biased. Yeah, you know, and of course Clough picked up on that, Garner picked up on that, our mad Irishman picked up on that, Mr. Brown, the directors, picked up on that.
Yeah,
we're going to be taken to the cleaners by FA and the EFL, and I foresee a situation where Gary Crosby has to be in the technical area.
Breaking news.
There we go.
Mansfield Town are delighted to announce the signing of forward Tom Nichols on a permanent transfer from Gillingham. Welcome to the Stags, Tom. So there we go. It is true, Nathan Edge. Breaking news on a recorded podcast. Get in. The Stags have made a signing.
Give the fingers. This is now old news.
People will not believe this. They'll say, you didn't do it before. You came on afterwards.
The one time we're not actually live, and that could have happened. But no, I mean, that was the expected news, wasn't it? I mean, you teased us a little bit there by saying former.
I know, I got excited.
Song, wasn't it?
I got excited. I forgot how to read.
But no, I mean, just reiterating a little bit what Clive said. I mean, you're going to get. I've already seen it before it even signed for us. Some fans already find reasons to doubt him and etc. Because he hasn't maybe scored 20 goals already this season and so on. But you've got to think, he seems to me, from what I know of him so far, he's one of those players that he's going to get in the right positions in the box. And one thing that we have done very well this season is create chances. So as long as we continue to do that, and we've hopefully now got a player who's going to get himself in the right area in the box and put him back the net. And hopefully, as you were saying earlier, it looks like he has played a lot of football. So hopefully that means he's not one of the players that's going to pick up injuries. And I'm going to touch wood because we know what Mansfield Town's record's like. But I'm touching it. I'm not letting go. Hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be the little bit of boost we need, especially for the next few months.
And this is the first time I've been delighted that Nathan's actually not on camera when he said he was touching wood. Moving swiftly.
No, can I just throw in here that our missing podcaster, the erstwhile Cam.
Which one? We've got 3 missing tonight.
Cam, as quick as he is normally, has just messaged me to say we're signing Nichols, apparently.
Yeah, well, he signed to go.
I've got the...
One thing I talk about, Alan, is the fact that, this signing will have been thought out and planned. It's not a loan deal. It is a permanent transfer. We're still waiting for further news on it. All we can tell you at the minute, as we speak at 5:02, is that we've signed him on a permanent transfer from Gillingham. We don't know how long for. We don't know the details of that contract, etc. But presumably it will be a longer-term deal, which is one thing which Nigel Clough has implemented very, very strongly on every transfer deal that is concluded within the last 3 transfer windows.
It's definitely not going to be less than 2.5
and let's hope
years.
If he is enough to start Saturday, put him up front with Swanee. Get him in. Because, it was finished by Swanee on Saturday. Although, people say that...
Swan needs a chance. Swan needs a chance.
I thought he took the goal very well. I did. For somebody who's probably lost confidence, it was a good finish, a good game.
And I think
so let's get him and Swan firing.
Yeah, I agree. I think going back to that, Nathan, briefly as well, what Alan was saying there about Will Swan, he finally got his goal on Saturday at AFC Wimbledon. He got his start as well. And now that we've brought in Tom Nichols from Gillingham, it gives him a little bit of a psychological push as well, doesn't it? He knows he's got to keep hold of his shirt now, and hopefully it might be the right strike that he needs, which is, arguably not. He's probably not had that so far this season.
I don't think he necessarily needs a player to compete with in a sense for a place, but I think he, if anything, because he's still a young lad, and obviously I think a lot of it this season has been probably dealing with the fact that he's, left Forest, Championship, / now Premier League club, and he's dropped down to League Two. I think for him as a youngster, that's quite a big thing to sort of have to deal with. So I think he's probably settling down a little bit more now on that front. And I think hopefully having Nichols there, who hopefully can work alongside with, not necessarily compete, but it takes a bit of pressure off him, but just gives him enough sort of, with his most recent performance, enough confidence to push on from here. I think hopefully they can create some sort of partnership together up there, because there are them and obviously Aitkins, they're our main strike force. So it's over to them in that front.
And on that as well, Clive, the source which sort of suggested that Tom Nichols was coming in has also suggested that a loan deal for George Lapsley is very likely as well. Not a done deal, but very, very likely as well.
There's a lot of logic in that, Craig, isn't there, if you think about it, because Gillingham have acquired quite a lot of players since the new owners arrived, and they bought quickly and to a certain extent in a haphazard way. And I think what they've done in recent times is just to try and straighten their squad up a little bit. And a couple of their acquisitions are probably not getting the game time they would have expected to get. And I'll put Lapsley in that bracket. And he's a player we know. It's a player we like. Clough likes him. He didn't want him to go. He knows most of the squad. And I think if he was available, he'd jump at the chance to come.
I think it would make Alan perfect sense as well. Like Clive has just said there, he knows the club, he knows the majority of the players, he knows how the manager works. And the deal for him going sort of the other way at the time a year ago made absolutely perfect sense. He wasn't getting the game time here. He wanted to move closer to his family. He's got young children and things like that. And the opportunity was there for us to recoup a little bit of money for him. So if we can help him out by getting a little bit of game time and and things like that, and putting his career back on track, it will be a win-win from everybody. And also on the back of that, Alan, is the fact that if we were to bring in George Lapsley, we haven't yet as we speak at 6 minutes past 5. If we were to bring him back on a loan deal, it would also give us a little bit of wriggle room in terms of our attacking movement, because he'll sit in that 10 role. I know we both are more of a fan of DKD in there than in forward, but it will release DKD to go a little bit forward. Lapsley can also play in that winger role and play a little bit wider, and it will just give us those fluid options, which Nigel Clough probably wanted this time last year, but he had to speculate to accumulate. So it's almost full circle.
Yeah, two things. I think, for one, it would be nice to see him back, because I think 99% of Stags fans like Lapsley and like what he did. And he also knows where the goal is.
Scored some cracking goals for Mansfield.
He has. Yeah. And it is, he's got a good engine on him as well. He'll go for 90 minutes, or he has done in the past.
I think there's another thing, Al, isn't it? If you had to choose between Boateng and Lapsley in your midfield now, which one would you choose?
Lapsley.
Oh, I would choose Lapsley, yeah, but it all depends on what, where he's going to play him in the team. Because, if you need a left-sided player, you'd put Boateng in on form.
No, you wouldn't.
But,
I like Boateng, and he's got a talent that we've seen far too little of, and that's the problem.
There's nobody championed Boateng more than me when he came, because him and Christy Pym, if you look back on, further podcasts back as we've done, I was very pleased, saying he was quality, and whenever you've seen him play for Exeter, it was quality. But it just, for whatever reason, it hasn't happened here. Like Craig said in a lot earlier podcast, about having a youngster, settling down in the area. It can do that to loads of people, but it's just one of those things. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But, Tom Nichols, am I thinking for the right chap does he take the free kicks as well?
I'm not sure whether he does or not. I can't remember which one.
I'm not sure whether he's always involved in the free kicks as well. I might have the wrong bloke.
But I can tell you that he has signed an 18-month contract with the club, so it'll take him up to the end of next season.
Oh.
On his signing, manager Nigel Clough has told MansfieldTown.net that Tom is a proven goal scorer and goal maker at this level, and I'm sure our supporters will know him from doing well against us in the last few seasons. He's someone who we've been interested in for quite a while, but never quite managed to secure it until now. We think he'll fit in well with our style of play. He's an intelligent player and can come off the strikers or play right up there. The most important part is he wanted to come here, and we're delighted to have him on board. Right, Nathan, we're going to move away from transfer chat now. We'll keep our eye on Twitter and everything in the next half an hour, just in case anything else does break. But a reminder to those at home, we are not live this evening, so lots of things could between now and the time that you're viewing this, which I imagine will be about 7:30 right now. Anyway, Nathan, let's talk things on the pitch. And AFC Wimbledon on Saturday, third defeat of the campaign, which is remarkable considering we're now in February. But it was one of those things, wasn't it, on Saturday, where anything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
It sort of flashes back to sort of I'm trying to figure the game now. Was it Doncaster away, where that was more on the injury side, but then you throw in the officials and the decisions we got, and then how the game actually panned out from there. You look at how well we actually played with 10 men, which I think we need to focus, really put a lot of focus on, despite the disappointment. To then having that sucker punch right at the end, it's hard to take, but we've got to move on. And either way, regardless of how difficult that game was and how our form maybe has dipped over the last few games, we're still sat in third in February. Still with one of the best defensive records in the league, and we're still in a good position. So we can't as a fan base go and expect to win every single match. We're going to have a blip. Hopefully this is it, and hopefully, God, I hope we turn it around for Saturday. But even if we don't, we've got a little bit of time. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll see the likes of Elliot Hewitt coming back. It'll be like a new signing. It's going to take a bit of time to bed back in, but there's still a lot to play for. So I'm happy with where we are. It's just a shame that Saturday, despite all our efforts and everything we did right, it was, for me, I think that's the worst refereeing performance I've known since, my 20 odd years of following the Stags, and that's saying something, because there's been some absolutely diabolical ones over the years, but it was just a lot of it's beyond words, and even Wimbledon fans are backing that up. So I think that says it all.
More on that in just a minute. We're going to take a quick break. Nathan, have we still got you, or have you got to go back? Have you got to go and deal with the kids?
Emma, is Harry asleep? Yeah. No, I'm good. I'm good for now.
So good. Right, we'll come back to you in just a second as we take a very quick break here on the Mansfield Matters podcast. It's the show for the fans, by the fans, and we're right back after this. You're back with the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters podcast. Still with us, Alan Wilson, Clive Parkin, and on the phone, he's back. I don't know why he's back, but he's back. It's Mr. Nathan Edge. Good to have you with us, as always. Nathan, you were saying just before that about the standard of refereeing and things like that, and on Saturday to lose everything we did in those circumstances. But I want to put this question to you. I'm going to put it to Clive and Alan after as well. And it is, what was the biggest blow on Saturday? I'm going to park the defeat because it was only the third defeat of the campaign. Was the biggest blow losing Stephen Quinn through refereeing ineptitude? Was it losing Jordan Bowery for 3 games, not having a solid right back with Callum Johnson injured and having no real other option there? Or was it losing the captain, Aidan Flint, for an amount of time unknown to everybody, including Nigel Clough, until scan results come back? So he could play Saturday afternoon and we could be talking absolute nonsense now, or he could be out for the remainder of the season, never to be seen in a Stag shirt again. Which was the toughest blow to take for you on Saturday afternoon?
I mean, it's so hard to unpack because there's so many different ways you can look at it. In a sense, I'm going to say, and it's one you haven't mentioned, it's not getting that penalty decision, because that could have been a massive difference between the 0 points we've got and 3. I know we still had to put it in the net and so on. But the reason I'm saying that is, yes, it's a blow not having Jordan Bowery, but I've got fingers crossed that George Williams will be available. If not, we know Lucas Akins can do a job there. So we're not totally out of it in that sense. I would say Aidan Flint, that was my main concern out of Saturday. That's the one thing I was gutted about. But I've just got this feeling that he's going to be playing Saturday, and I don't know why. And I hope it's not mistaken hopefulness, but the way Clough is talking about it, I just got this feeling that it may not be as bad as first thought. So if that's the case, then I'm going to say the penalty. But if he is out for the season, then, or even for an extended amount of time, then by far that is the worst thing since Alfie Kilgore this season, I would say.
It has to be said, if Aidan Flint leads the Stags out on Saturday against Notts County, it's one hell of a mile from Nigel Clough, isn't it? Alan, what about yourself? What was the thing for you on Saturday afternoon? Was it any that I mentioned? Was it the penalty decision? What was the biggest blow where it made you sit back and go, say?
I would say Barry, personally, because he's been a talisman this season. He's been the player of the season, in my opinion, all season. He can play anywhere virtually. And I think, with him cementing, with Callum not playing, we're cementing that position at right back when he's put there, not left back if Macca's not playing. If he sits there, he can do a job. And I think they'll miss him for that. But we've got other players who can go there. We've got Williams. We've got Lewis.
JJ.
We've got Akins. We've got quite a few, people who can actually fill that role. So that's the most big thing for me, because Flint, we've got Cargill and Brunt, and they've been playing very, very well this year. So we can afford to miss Flint for maybe a couple of games, I think. But Barry's the one for me.
Yeah, I'd be inclined to agree with Alan there, Clive. I think one thing with the Flint situation is we are blessed with so many different centre-backs as well. And again, going back to the rumoured Lapsley situation at 16 minutes past 5, if he come in, that frees up Ollie Clark to go and play at centre-back where we know he can. But we've also got Mo Toole, George Williams, George Cooper.
Yeah.
We've got so many options in there, Clive. It's, as much as it is a blow to lose a player of Aidan Flint's stature and leadership and quality, it's not the end of the world. Whereas losing a Stephen Quinn for a derby game, it's a little bit more tenuous. We've got players to cover, but losing Jordan Bowery for 3 games at right back when we've got a bit of a right back crisis at the minute, that probably is. But even saying that, again, George Williams is fit. He plays right back. Lewis Brunt can play there, although I don't really want him to. Lucas Akins there. We can change shape. We've got so many.
Am I right in thinking it's only a 1-match ban?
Was it a straight red, wasn't it?
It was a straight red, but the rules changed, don't they? Because I think it depends on the type of foul now. So I'd check it. Try and check it before the end of the podcast if you can. But I've just got this funny feeling it's a 1 and not 3.
Well, let's hope it is a 1 and not a 3. I'm not going to check it because I can't be. But there you go. I also haven't got the time. Clive, all that said, it felt like blow after blow after blow on Saturday, and then losing it late as we did. But in hindsight, actually, it's something which we just swallow down, dust ourselves off, and go meh, move on.
You can eat all the best food in the world all season long, but sooner or later you're going to have a diet of shit. And it was on Wimbledon on Saturday, and I think I pick up on Alan's point. I think Bowery was a big one for me, provided in the same sentence we haven't lost Flint for a long period of time, because that would then supersede that logic. But Bowery, because I agree with Alan, he's my player of the season, Mr. Versatility, attitude spot on, and he plays 9 times out of 10 as well as you could be expecting him to play wherever he put him. But, in the context of the game, it meant we had 10 and they had 12. And it just made it hard. And as for Quinn, Clough's already taken responsibility for that. He said he shouldn't have even been on the bench. He should have been in the shower. It's my fault, because we all know what he's like. And at that point, everybody in the Stags camp were furious. Must have been absolutely livid with what was going on the pitch, and the winky wanky bloody fourth official as well. So I think Quinn was going to explode. In fact, we know he's going to explode certain times during the season. We have to budget for that. But we've only lost him for one effectively half game anyway, because it's two yellows. So that could have been worse. So that's my view on the thing. I think it was one of those games where we had some corrupt referee that's taken the game away from us, and we move on.
There we go. Somebody did say have a rant about the referees and things like that. I think Clive's just done it superbly for us, Nathan, to be
fair. I mean, in terms of referees, I normally would sit here and try and defend them a little bit and say, yes, we know some are really poor at making decisions, but I'd never really say any of them are biased. But I can't defend the one on Saturday, and I don't know why. It's just there's something. I don't know what went on that Saturday, but it seemed intentional. I think that was what angered most people. It may not have been, but the way it came across, it certainly came across that way.
If he wasn't biased, he was so inept. I don't know how on earth he's got his whistle.
Beyond belief.
Yeah. Well, we do have to move on because we have got a Nottinghamshire derby to contend with, Alan. Obviously, a victory at Meadow Lane earlier in the campaign. They're now under a new manager. They're still up there in the league table. They're hotly contesting it. They'll be wanting to continue a good start with their new manager. We've got 2 players suspended, potentially our captain missing. But we have, on the other hand, at this point at 20 past 5, got at least one new signing to throw into the mix. It's still bubbling up nicely, isn't it?
It is. And going back to, with these signings and, being late signings, I know it's harping back on it, but slightly, it just does make a point that perhaps Nigel was keeping his stuff close to his chest. With the Nottinghamshire derby, strategies, etc., etc. That could have been a bit of a thought in it at the back of his mind.
I think you're right, Alan, because normally when someone asks about somebody's injury, the first thing you hear is 6 to 8 weeks. And he didn't utter that at all when asked about our captain. So maybe he is playing a bit of a game. I don't know. We'll see.
I don't know, but talking about potential players who can come in, one player who did actually come on, he finally got more than 1 minute this season, is the ever increasingly hair-growing John Joe O'Toole.
It was nice to see him back, to be fair.
He had
Didn't do anything wrong for the time that he had on.
And do you know what?
He nearly scored a goal.
I know. I was watching the game with our podcast friend Jim Evans on Saturday. He helped me move house, God bless him. And we were sat watching the game, and we both said to each other that even if it is worst case scenario with Flint, and we are missing him for a month, 2 months, or whatever, we've got a tailor-made replacement there. John Joe O'Toole. He came on, he slotted into centre-back really, really well. He nearly scored, and it was like having Flint there anyway.
I'm saying, we know what quality he's got. Okay, he's been out for a while, but you put him in there, and I'm sure he'll relish the fact, especially with it being a local derby.
Yeah, absolutely.
I wouldn't be afraid to use him.
No, me.
Even if if it's coming off the bench or starting.
No, sadly though, he doesn't get into to my 11. Although I wrote this 11, Clive, before we signed Tom Nichols. So
I'll vouch for that.
Now then,
yeah, because we were writing this earlier. My 11, Pym in goal, back four of Akins, Williams, Cargill, and McLaughlin. I think I'm now going to change that, and I think I am going to move Williams to right back. I'm going to start with O'Toole and Cargill and McLaughlin at the back, because I think we need that physical presence against the forward line. My midfield then becomes Aaron Lewis, Lewis Reed, and Ollie Clark, who will take the captain's armband. Long overdue. Sorry, Nathan. With I'm going to go with DKD in behind Akins, and I'm sorry, Alan, but I am going to drop Swan in favour of Tom Nichols now. It's funny how one signing changes your entire complexity, isn't it, Clive?
I'm devastated that you've dropped Maris.
Yeah.
I was saying exactly the same thing.
And what are you doing with Brunt?
Yeah. Can't believe you've dropped Maris.
Yeah, Brunt's been costing too many goals.
Well, he has made 4 significant errors leading to 4 avoidable goals. There's no question about that. But overall, once he's playing in front of the back four, I think he's a very, very good player. But maybe this is not the game for him. I don't know. But it's interesting, isn't it? Because they are full of goals, not scouted. They ship a few, but they're full of scoring potential. And we've just taken a new striker on, so it's going to be a 0-0, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. We'll come up back second. Nathan, what would your lineup be, given all of those considerations and things like that? Would O'Toole be the perfect replacement for our friend Mr. Flint? Would you throw Ollie Clark off a cliff again? Would you put Nichols straight back in? Would Hiram Boateng get a game? Or would you be starting with Amari Sterling-James? Oh, no, sorry, he's gone, isn't he?
It's been a while since I've been on, so I would have Omar on the left, CJ on the right, Devon left back. No, I mean, I wouldn't be starting John Joe. Not a chance, not at this stage. He's been out for so long, and before he went out, he seemed to be struggling a little bit with the pace of the game a little bit. He's getting on, so I wouldn't be throwing him in to start against the likes of North County. Not when they've got Crowley, who's got pace in abundance, and they've got some pace up there, to be fair. So he wouldn't be the play for me. I understand what you mean in having a bit of aggression back there, but I think we've got to make sure we don't get outpaced as well, especially being the home side, because it's going to be a different game to what it was at Meadow Lane. I think they will probably look at hitting us a bit more on the break. So if we play into their hands and having slow defenders back there, we're probably asking for trouble. So he wouldn't be starting for me. And it'd probably be George Williams, if he's well enough, obviously being down with the flu. So whether he's well enough, he would be in there for me. And I think the rest of the sort of team picks itself in a sense of just the regulars I've been playing. I'd keep Maris in there. I'd keep DKD, obviously, but I'd probably be starting Nichols as well. Lapsley, if he comes, now that does change things a little bit more. If he's had game time this year, which I don't know, if he has, then I'd even be tempted to start him because he knows the Clough way. So it's not like he needs to be embedded in that much.
Yeah, that's very, very true. Lots of possibilities. 26 minutes past 5 as we record this. Only the one signing so far in Tom Nichols, but by the time you're watching/listening, we could have made 3, 4, 5. Maybe we've even got a brand new 11. We will react to anything that does happen in our next podcast. Clive, you were poised as if you wanted to say something then.
Yeah, I think between now and the end of the day, we can write off a new Bishop Street stand, and I think we can probably accept that where we are is where we are now. I think we've made an important acquisition. If we get another loan player in, whether that be Lapsley or anybody else, that's an added bonus as far as I'm concerned. And I just think that it's only needed a little bit of a tweak to bring back a degree of optimism, which quite frankly I hadn't had at the beginning of the day.
Yes, well, Nick mentioned the word closed there, and the gate probably already is closed, whatever. But there is a little bit of other news, Nathan, that we should look at this week as well, and that is over the last few weeks we have trialled some new things. We had the North stand back for the game against, was it Sutton? It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But also, lots of people have been moaning about Quarry Lane being busy with cars and things and heavier footfall on match day. And the club have posted this. They posted this on the 30th of January. Supporters should be aware that there will be a temporary traffic restriction order. That's a TTRO applied to Quarry Lane this Saturday. This means that Quarry Lane will be closed from Portland Street to Highfield Way, which is the entrance to the industrial estate, from 4:15 p.m. until approximately 5:15 p.m. At a recent safety advisory group, that's SAG meeting, the club requested that the TTRO, so many acronyms, be granted because of the recent increase in illegal parking, naughty people, on Quarry Lane around the entrance/exit to One Call Stadium, making the road dangerous for supporters exiting the ground on foot. Once the TTRO is applied, Quarry Lane will be closed to all traffic. At full-time, supporters on foot will exit the ground. At this stage, the One Call Stadium car park will also be closed. Once the footfall is at an acceptable level, the cars in One Call Stadium car park will be released. One gate for left turn exit and one for right turn exit onto Quarry Lane. More acronyms to come. When all cars that are leaving the car park have departed, the TTRO will be lifted and no more traffic will resume on Quarry Lane. Supporters who are usually picked up on Quarry Lane are advised to make alternative arrangements for collection. This TTRO is being trialled on Saturday, but if it's successful, will be used at all subsequent home games. Supporters should also note that the pedestrian gate between the North stand and the Ian Greaves stand will be closed from kick-off.
Where's the bell?
I've got it.
Have you all realised how famous that gate has become because of social media? He's now got his own website.
I know.
And he's got his own agent. But apparently his agent... his agent got the short tongue from one of the ground staff there, and apparently is in fear of his life. In fact, the Gates agent's made a bolt for it.
Yeah. You know what? I'm going to give you the cam treatment. Goodbye,
Oh, dear.
Only joking. Right, that is almost all we've got time for. There is one.
So I was a bit unhinged there.
Oh. Right. There is one more thing left to do. Nathan, you may remember this game. So will they win, lose or draw? And what will be the score? It's the guessing game that brings you zero fame, but to be the best you must outguess the rest. So will they win, lose or draw? And what will be the score? In the League or Cup, you just make it up, because they're just works of fiction. It's podcast predictions. Will they win, lose or draw? It's the game Nathan Edge hasn't played all season long, which is why he's currently bottom of the Mansfield Matters table on 12 points. Let's run through that table for you before we go through the predictions. We've now introduced Jim into the Mansfield Matters podcast group, which means our table is now even bigger. Nathan, though, you are still bottom on 12 points. Jim above on 28, then it's Cam on 38. I'm in the middle on 59 points. Then it's Clive in third on 64. So 2 people left. Nick is second on 70 and 9 points ahead. It's Mr. Alan Wilson. We'll run through the top 10 in just a minute for you. But first, let's give some honourable mentions to some people who are outside the top 10. This means that you're not in the top 10, but you have scored some points on the Mansfield Matters Podcast Predictions League. So here we go. Will Pound, JS, Tim Phillips, Clive Parkin, Simon Wilson, Steve Yule, Ashley Mutter, Adam Crump, me, Otley Stagg, Stephen Pound, Kathy Holmes, Proud Stag, Marie Wilson, Sarah Stonick, Joe Dolman, Paul Broomhead, Keeley of Her Game 2 fame, Darren Wood, Cam Felton, whoever he is, Roger King, Richard Spencer, Craig Vincent, Sam Pateman, Craig Foster, Mark Lapco, Jim Evans, Dennis Sim, Matt Green, not that one, Matt W, Mitchell the American, Addison Crump, Craig Pateman, Ian Brown, Taxi Pete, Nathan Edge. Some people have scored less than you. Gabby, and they are. Hang your head is in shame. Gabby A, John, Sarah Armson, who I work with, so sort your game out, Sarah. Nick Welsh, Liam Smith, Kyle Whitty, Joe, Luke Bramall, Watson Wanderers, Mr. Tickle, strange name, Tara, Yellow Gaz, Oliver 425, Lorna, Kyle Bingley, Teddy Oliver, Radcliffe Stagg, Mel Shacklock, Sulpermel, Mark, Tom King, Mr. Beak, Andrew, and no, Mr. Beak and Andrew have got no points, but they've entered. So Tom King is the one who's on 1 point. Time though to do the top 10, shall we? So we know that it's been hotly contested in the top 10 in the Mansfield Matters Podcast Prediction League. In at 10, David Shetlife on 69 points. We've got Joint in 9th. It's our Nick and Stag's Chat, both on 70. In at 8 is Fathead. Has he actually got a fat head or not? Or has she got a fat head? You can never presume. It's 2024 on 71 points. Mrs. Crump then brings up 7th place with 72. Chris Ellison in 6th on 74. The Kiwi Stag is in 5th place on 75, leaving a top 4. Alan Wilson takes 4, 79 points. Then there is a giant leap to the top 3. In 3rd place, it's our podcast predictions guru, Ben Swain. I can assure you that no cheating has taken place.
Fixed.
I'm not doing it, Nathan, so you can't say it's me. And then it's been a 2-horse race all season long to find out who is in top. I can tell you that we have breached the 100-point mark for one of the 2 players. They are Steve Nadin and Nick Felton. Who is top?
Steve Nadin.
In 2nd place, on 99 red balloons, no, wrong show, 99 points, it's Nick Felton, which means leading the way at the top with 106 points. Phenomenal effort. It's Steve Nadin. Steve, well done to you. Will you still be at the top, though, from the end of February? Or now Nathan's back, will he have a resurgence? No, he won't. No, he will not. But we'll wait and see. The link is in the description. Right, Nathan, let's see if you can remember how to play the game. Then you're going to go first on podcast predictions. Remember, we are looking for the scoreline, the outcome for the Stags, the amount of goals Stags will score, the amount of goals Stags will concede, and who will be man of the match. You're up first, Notts County at home on Saturday.
Okay, I'm going to go for 1-3 defeat.
Oh,
unfortunately.
Wow. Wow.
Nathan.
I thought I thought I was supposed to be the pessimist one. 3-1 defeat. Okay.
You've not heard mine yet.
Only for the circumstances. That's all I'm saying.
Go on. Right, man of the match, please.
Any other time. Man of the match. I'm going to do this. This could backfire big time. I'm going George Lapsley, and he's not even with us
yet. He's not taking this game seriously, is
quality.
I'm coming back. I'm climbing that table.
Right, Nathan, if George Lapsley signs between now 5:35 Thursday the 1st of Feb and transfer deadline day, we lose 3-1 and he's man of the match, I will quit this podcast. I will give it Cam, and I will give. No, I'm not going to give you my wage because there is a slight possibility that it could.
Did you punish me?
Yeah, but there you go. Oh wow! Right, Alan, come on! I need you to bring back the positivity. Jesus.
Mansfield Town 3, Notts County 1. Man of the match, Captain Invincible, Ollie Clark.
Oh, okay, right. Clive, you said you've not heard yours yet, so let's bring the next back, shall we?
It's going to be a draw. It's going to be a goalless draw.
Yeah.
And my man of the match is going to be Christy Pym.
Oh.
Right, well, Pessimist Priest used to be a thing on this podcast when Nathan was around. Has he brought the pessimism back to my bones? No, he hasn't, because in the face of Nigel Clough's men will shine good. We are going to win by 2-1, and man of the match will be our brand new signing, Tom Nichols. If you want to play along with podcast predictions, Nathan Edge, you must do what?
Submit your answers 1 hour and 1 minute prior to kickoff. Is that still the rule?
Yes, it is. And the link is where?
Hopefully still in the description.
It still is in the description. Thanks so much for joining us on the phone. It's been great to have you back on the show. We have to say you would have been on the show lots more during the season, but it just falls at the time where you're putting both your kids to bed. So maybe
Craig, can you put his picture back up for a minute?
Nathan's picture.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a very big picture, which I imagine he's heard before, said by his... Is she still your girlfriend, or have you asked her to marry her yet?
You know, he's a good-looking lad, isn't he? And he's a testament to man at CNA.
Look, the reason I've not been on is because of the kids, and I was waiting for us to lose, which took a while. And then I've also got internet issues. But look, I'm here, and I'll try and get to some more where I can.
I'm sure you will.
Nice to have you back.
You are always part of the Mansfield Matters family.
I've missed you guys.
I've missed you too, mate.
A bit.
Are we going to go to McDonald's now? Is that what happens?
It breaks my heart. I miss our date night.
I know it might be cold by the time we get here. Right, that's all we've got time for. Nate, thanks so much, mate. I'll speak to you again soon.
See you, Nate.
Thanks, gents.
And because you've...
Bye.
I am going to let you have the final word, Nathan. What are your thoughts so far on the campaign?
I think it's a campaign.
Nobody cares. Put the phone down on Nathan and give him the Cam Felton treatment because he's not been with us all season. Gentlemen, thanks so much as ever for joining us. We will see you again next week when hopefully we'll have a little bit more transfer news. For now, though, that is all we've got time for. My thanks to Nathan Edge, to Alan Wilson and to Clive Parkin. My thanks to you guys at home for listening. The time as we record this is 38 minutes past 5 on Thursday, the 1st of February 2024. Still time to bring more players through the door. Will Nigel Clough manage to do so before Derby Day? Keep your eyes on all things social media to find out. We'll react to any further signings or indeed departures in our next podcast. Make sure you're following us on all things social media to find out when we're next going to be live. And we will be live the next time we are back. Make sure you get involved in podcast predictions for Derby Day. The link that you need is in the description. The title of this podcast tonight has been Count Your Losses. 3 so far in Sky Bet League 2 this season. Let's hope that come Derby Day, come 5 p.m. on Saturday afternoon, that it's not 4. And indeed, it's a podcast along the lines of Derby Day Delight. For now, though, this is the show for the fans, by the fans. This is the Mansfield Matters Podcast. Good night.